Hi, I'm Kevin with the Woodlands Nature Station, and today we're going to be animal detectives. Now, of course, the wilderness is full of creatures of all different sizes, but you may not get glimpses of them all the time. But a lot of animals do leave traces of where they've been and what they're doing. And so today, we're going to look around and see if we can find some traces of animal activity and maybe even determine what sort of creature wants to live there. So animal signs might be even closer than we think. There might even be one next to me right now. So see if you could spot the animal sign that we're looking for right now. So the animal sign that we're going for is actually this little hole right here. So you can tell that this isn't just any regular eroded hole, that an animal might be living here. Now you can see here all this loose soil, like somebody has been scraping it out. You can also see that there are a lot of discarded shells around here, like some walnut, some other types of nut like acorn and beech nut. Now, I'm not going to stick my arm in the hole because, of course, it'd be rude to enter a stranger's house. So I'm going to give this animal peace of mind and not dig too far in there. But take a good look down there. It goes pretty deep. So some animal must be making this their little den. Most likely a burrowing animal. So from the kind of food availability around, like nuts and berries, and, of course, the earth, we can assume that this is a digging animal, maybe something like a groundhog, or maybe an armadillo or a skunk that might have decided to kind of hollow out the space under a rock and make a nice cozy home for itself. So one animal sign that you can look for in the wild is in fact a home, whether it's a hole in the ground or, flattened out grass or even a nest or something like that up in a tree. But for now, let's go ahead and head down the trail and see what kind of other animal signs we can find. Come on. And we're back. We found another cool animal sign that we're going to have to investigate. And this time, it's not a home that an animal will live in. It's more of something that an animal might leave behind as it's wandering through the forest. So today, we found some lovely scat. And that's animal droppings or animal poop. And so we have here on our lovely trail some nice deer scat, and we can tell it's deer scat because it's pretty large and it's got this nice kind of cylindrical shape, and there are a lot of them. Now this type of poop is pretty indicative of kind of a small to medium herbivore, so an animal that's going to be eating a lot of plant material like a rabbit or a deer or something like that. And this is pretty large, so we can tell this must be a type of deer, either a white-tailed or a fallow deer. Both of them live in this area. You can see there's quite a bit of it, and this is, like I said, very indicative. This means that a deer has come through here pretty recently, or at least in the last few days, because it hasn't washed away and nothing has eaten it or like squished it, so you can tell this is pretty recent. So that means we must be hot on the trail of something like a deer. And that would be great if we were out, hunting or trying to survive, but we're not, so we're just going to let the deer be. It's wandered off, it's doing its own kind of deer thing. So this is a really cool animal sign that we can look for, this scat. And different animals have different types of scat. For example, the scat of a predator, like a cat or a wild dog, might look different than the scat of like a deer or the scat of a bird. So you can tell, what an animal might be based on the consistency, the size, and the shape of its scat. All right, now that we've talked about this, we're going to go on to our next animal sign. And we're back, guys. Got another cool animal sign to show you. This is kind of a 2-for-1, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So look up at this hole right here that we have. Now that is a clear indication that some animal has drilled into this tree trunk. Now, what kind of animal do you think would drill into a trunk like that? Well, if your guess is a woodpecker, you're spot on. So woodpeckers love to drill cavities into trees just like that one, so that they can find grubs that might be living in the bark. Now this tree is kind of dying, so it has some nice soft wood inside that grubs and worms would love to eat up. So woodpeckers, like pileated and red-headed woodpeckers, like to frequent these areas and make nice sizable holes. Not only that, they might live in a cavity like that, along with lots of other birds, like screech owls and kestrels. They are all cavity nesters, so they will use old holes that birds like woodpeckers have left behind. So not only does this mean a woodpecker might have been here eating, but it could also mean that an owl or a kestrel or some kind of other cavity nesting bird has been living here. So let's look around and see what we can find. Whoa, guys, check this out. So I have right here an owl pellet. An owl regurgitates this because it's full of the things that it can't digest, like fur and bones. So if we look closely at it, we can see we've got some bone in there and a lot of white fur. So it might have eaten something like a southern flying squirrel, something with really kind of lighter coloration, or like a white mouse or something like that. So an owl pellet is a clear sign that an owl is regularly living and eating in this area. So these holes up here could very well be a home to one of our little owl friends, like an eastern screech owl. So that's very, very cool. Hey detectives, great work today. We saw a lot of cool sights, holes, homes, and things that animals have left behind that can help us identify what's out in our environment. But now, I've got a challenge for you. Since I appoint you official animal detectives, your job now is to go out and find some different animal signs, especially ones we didn't talk about, like tracks of different animals, or sounds, like our friend Duck here would make. Hey, buddy. He's got a lot to say. A lot of birds usually do. So be on the lookout for animals just like Duck. Good job, buddy.